Hello everyone, my name is Jamin Mangukia and today I will be discussing a significant case that highlights the consequence of unethical corporate practices. So let's understand the case. Imagine walking into a store, being pressured into buying an expensive phone and accessories you don't need, and later realizing you have signed a contract that pushes you into debt. Now imagine that you try to fix the situation, the company refuses to help, and instead debt collectors start pursuing you aggressively. This is exactly the thing happened with 429 consumers, many of whom were from remote and disadvantaged communities. So in this presentation, we will analyze this case using Nelson and Trevino ethical decision-making framework, breaking down each stage of ethical evaluation to understand where Optus went wrong and what lessons can be learned. To analyze the Optus action, we must first gather the key facts. First, the ACC found Optus unethical sales practices impacted 429 consumers, mainly in the stores in Darwin, Mount Isa, and other locations. Many of these consumers faced serious disadvantage. Some had limited financial literacy, disabilities, and other language barrier. Rather than assisting them, Optus staff manipulated credit checks, pushing them into buying unaffordable plans. When these individuals struggled with the payments, Optus aggressively pursued debt collection, despite knowing the contracts were fraudulent. The key ethical issues in the Optus case include misleading tactics, where many consumers were pressurized in buying unnecessary services. Another issue is exploitation of vulnerable consumers, particularly those with financial difficulties and disabilities. Optus also prioritized profit over ethics, incentivizing their staff to aggressively sell products regardless of the consumer's need. Also, the senior management failed as they were aware of the situation but still failed to intervene. This leads to a question: who were the stakeholders impacted by this action? So, definitely the consumers face the financial hardship, damaged credit score, and emotional distress. Also, employees were pressured into unethical sales practices. Re- Regulatory bodies struggled to enforce protection laws, and shareholders faced reputation and financial risk. So, what were the consequences of this action? Let's find out. The consequences of the obtuse action were severe. Many consumers were left in debt, facing mental distress, fear from aggressive debt collection. Optus now faces legal consequences, including financial penalties, stricter regulation on the sales practices in the telecom sectors. Uh, let's now examine the ethical obligation Optus had and how they failed to meet them. Optus had a key ethical obligation, maintaining transparency, protecting the vulnerable consumers, taking accountability of their action. They should have prioritized their ethics over profit, focusing on long-term trust rather than short-term gains. Unfortunately, they failed here. Now let's consider integrity of their actions. Optus failed in integrity. Despite knowing about the unethical practices, they prioritized profit over consumer welfare and ignored their ethical duties. They lacked on strong moral framework, allowing these issues to persist. Now, let's summarize the key takeaways from this case. In conclusion, the case of Optus highlights severe consequences of ignoring ethical practices in business by failing to act with transparency, protect vulnerable consumer, prioritizing ethics over profit. Optus not only damaged their reputation but also caused significant harm to their consumers. This case can serve as a powerful reminder that businesses must act with integrity, take responsibility to their action, and also place ethics at the core of their decision making. Thank you.